Good day to you. I want to get on here just a minute and just talk to you about a couple of things. It's been a few days since I made any audio sermons. I kind of reverted back to just typing them again. Then I get tired of typing and I want to come back and just try to speak on a few things. You just have different people, you know. Some like to read more than they like to hear. Some like to listen to an audio more than they like to read. So kind of makes it hard trying to please everybody, you know. But nonetheless, they're all out there on our blog site, which is Transfiguration Blog, it's one word, .wordpress, that's the blogging site that we're on, it's called WordPress, and it's a .com, so transfigurationblog.wordpress.com. We've got it posted on that site as well if you've been to it. I come in here today and I said, Lord, you know, I read all through the Bible, and I've read the Bible through from cover to cover many times in my life. But that don't mean you always retain everything. Sometimes there's little details you forget. And I said, Lord, you know, I want to go back, even though I've talked a lot about the seals, I want to go back and really do an in-depth study and look at the intricate details of each one. Not to keep them all spread out the way we've been doing in a general thing. I wanted to go back and just kind of look at each individual part and section and to the details, because it's all the details is where the important parts come in. The details are the keys that unlock the bigger picture. But just to give you an example of how the Lord deals with you, or deals with us sometimes, I guess He does you too, I hope He does, is I come in here and I sat down in my chair and I said, now Lord, let's open up to the book of Revelations, and maybe I'll start over here. I've been studying the seals, or thinking about the seals. You've been talking to me about the seals. What I'll do is I'll come over here and I'll just take them one at a time and just start studying on them. Well, I'm flipping through, I'm in the book of Revelations, and toward the end of it, and I'm flipping back to get back over to where the seals begin. And I stopped at Revelation chapter 9. And I just looked down at it for just a minute, and it said the fifth angel sounded, and I saw a star fall from heaven up on the earth, and to him was given the key of the bottomless pit. And there's more that goes on into that if you want to read it. And you know, my human mind says like this, something inside me is just like, you know, Lord, I don't know these things. I really don't. I don't have a clue what these things are talking about. These things are so foreign, they're so odd. You know, it's futile, as the word says, or some pronounce it futile. There's no point in a human mind reading the Word of God at all in a way, but especially the book of Revelations, because it's such a contrast to the human mind that's trying to understand it. It's such a contrast because this book, especially Revelations, was written in such a deep spiritual format. It's written in such a deep spiritual formula. It's written from an eternal spiritual mind that it stands in stark contrast to the human mind. And it's not made for the human mind to know or understand it to that extent. Well, that's as far as the carnal part goes. The carnal mind, while the mind is carnal, it's not going to understand these things because the carnality of the human mind is the veil that is over the human mind. The human mind is not evil of itself, but there is a intertwining mixed with it. There's a spirit intertwined with it. That is a spirit of darkness. And that darkness, what it does is it blinds the human mind to the things that it needs to see. So let me give you a little example. We know we have an inner man, we know we have an outer man. The inner man has, we'll say, a spiritual mind. Especially if you're born again. You've been born again of the Spirit of God, and you have the mind of Christ, the Bible says. So, you have a spiritual mind, but then it seems like you're left, once you're born again, that your outer mind, your outer man, your brain, will say, your human conscience, you have a subconscious and a human conscience. Your human conscience, so to speak, your conscious human mind, is kind of left in the dark. It's still got to go about its daily activities of working and doing all the things it does. And yet it's the one that's left behind, so to speak, in the world, we'll say. Your inner man's translated into heaven at the new birth, but the outer man, the body, with its mind, it remains, we'll say. So, it wasn't always to be like that. We read about men in the Bible like Enoch and Elijah, different ones who changed their body. They went to heaven not just in their spirit, but they took their literal physical body with them. For that to have happened, excuse me, for that to have happened, pardon me again, for that to have happened, there had to be a change of the human mind. The human mind had to change as well, because the human mind rules the body to that extent. The body is kind of like a child in a way. The mind, the human mind, is like a mother, and it takes care or has to deal with the children, raising the body, so to speak. The spiritual inward man, his spiritual inward mind is like the father, the mind of the father. So the three of them make up a family. We'll say the family of God. Spirit, soul, and body, father, mother, and children. Now, there has to be a change of that human mind. We'll say like the mother, so to speak. She has to change her mind. Her mind has to be changed because she rules the body. Then that means that with the spiritual man being in heaven and the spiritual mind being in heaven, then for the body to get to heaven, the human mind that rules over it and controls it will have to be changed also. The same way the revelation of Jesus Christ, God through spiritual revelation came to the inward man and revealed to it who it was, what it was, and where it was. And that revelation was so strong and so powerful that it literally translated our inward man into heaven. It revealed it as so. That same revelation of Jesus Christ has to return back from that heaven, because the same way it revealed to the spiritual man who it was and translated it into heaven, now it's got to come back from heaven, so to speak, appear to the human mind, appear to the woman mind side of us, and change its mind, reveal to it how it is also in heaven. When it does that, then the human mind is transformated, and it becomes the same mind of the mind of Christ that's in the inward man. You might say the husband is taking his wife back into himself from which she came. In the garden, you remember there was Adam, then God put him to sleep, brought forth Eve. And if you notice, they had two different minds. We say Satan entered her mind and God had control of Adam's mind. And today, all their children have a knowledge of good in the inward man and the knowledge of evil in the outer man. So it's really a peculiar state to be in. So, we're all the tree of knowledge of good and evil in that sense. So, there's a carnality in the human mind, and as the revelation of Jesus Christ returns, as it reveals itself from the heaven inside, it's appearing in the heaven of our inner heart, our inner spirit, then we are appearing with it, because, see, we was translated into heaven. My spirit is one with the spirit, which is heaven, and the spirit is one with my spirit, so we are in heaven. Then when the spirit returns to appear to my human mind, then I appear with it, because wherever it is, the great spirit, the spirit mind, the mind of God, the mind of Christ, wherever it is, I am there with it now, see. So when it returns to reveal itself to my outer bride, I'm of course going to be there with it. It's like if, for instance, if my wife's in a car wreck and I'm on a job, well, I'm going to go with the ambulance, so to speak, not the mind of God. They're there to help me or help my wife, whatever. I'm going to ride with them, you see. So I'm riding with the ambulance as they're taking care of my wife. Also, let's say there's some kind of issues going on with my wife in town, and the police have gotten involved. Well, if they take her, if they want to sit and question her or take her to jail or, talk to her, whatever, I go with the police to that extent, and wherever we go that pertains to my wife, I go with them, because she's the one that the attention is on now. So that's the way it is with God. He's returning back as the law, so to speak. This time the law of spirit and life, no longer the law of sin and death, to the body. He became the law of sin and death to the body of Calvary, but now he's returning back to be the law of spirit and life. So when he comes back to redeem my body, we'll say, I being its husband, you know what I'm saying? My spiritual inner man being the husband of my outer man, then I'm coming back with him. Now then, so having said all that, the reason we're speaking on it in that manner is because when the revelation of Jesus Christ comes to redeem my outer man, it's already redeemed my inward man, but when it starts to redeem my outer man, then the great light of the revelational things that it will speak and show and reveal, it casts, so to speak, that carnality out of my human mind. It removes that carnality. It removes that blindedness. It's like if, using crazy simple illustrations, it's like if we break into a building where my wife's being held hostage, and they have her in a chair, and they got a blindfold over her, see? Then by me breaking forth into the building, then what I'm going to do is, my first thing is, I'm going to take the blind off her eyes and see her, make sure she's okay. Now then, so there's a blindness. See, Satan has bound our wife, our body. And like the old movies and shows, she's sitting in a chair, her hands are tied, she's got a blind, she's got a veil, she's got a blindfold over her eyes so that she can't see who her captors are. Well, there's a lot of revelation in that because the body has been bound for and held hostage for 6,000 years. And the body has never seen who its captors are. It's never had the veil removed from its mind to see the deceit that came over it, the deception that came over it, the lies that has been perpetrated to its mind, the falsehood, the dishonesty, the twisted and perverted mindset that has overtaken the body and blinded it to who it really is and what it really is. And but notice once God breaks forth, as we say, he breaks into the building, breaks into our outer man, we'll say he descends from heaven like Elisha did. He symbolically descended from heaven. He saw Elijah go away. He turns with the power of Elijah, with the same mind and understanding of Elijah, the same spirit, and he smites the Jordan. And he symbolically, as Elijah went away, translated into heaven, Elisha has to do with a double portion coming back out of heaven. So Christ translated our inward man into heaven as Elijah, but then he returns back as Elisha in a double portion to come back and redeem our body, which is the thunders coming in. The double portion, the two air masses coming together. So what we do is, once we break into the building, so to speak, we go to, of course we kill the captors, and we break the seals from her hands, because we got her hands bound behind her in the chair, so to speak. We break the seals, see. We loose her hands. And then when we loose her hands, of course, we take the blindfold off her eyes. And then she realizes that her captors are dead. And she realizes, let's say, they may have told her they were one group of people, but she sees them now that they are actually terrorists. And then, she was scared, you might say, so to speak, through fear and bondage of death. They kept her in bondage through that fear of death her whole life. The body's been in bondage its whole life to that fear of death. So now, once the veil comes off her eyes by the thunder sounding, the thunders come, see, that's me and the law, so to speak, is Christ with me with Christ. We are coming back as Elisha to redeem our body. We break forth into the building, the outer man. We free our wife, my wife. We loose her seals by breaking the bonds of her hands that's been tied. She goes behind her back. See, that's the loosening of the seal on the back side of the book. Her hands are behind her at her back, tied to the chair. We loose her seals, remove the veil from her eyes, so now she sees. And she looks, and her captors, which was like death to her, they kept her in fear. Now they are dead. And she realizes that death itself is now dead to her. that she has no reason to fear death anymore, because to her, in that general sense, there is no more death to her. The law of spirit and life has returned to her with her husband, and they are eternal, and they are taking her into their fold, into their home, into the kingdom, where there is no death to her no more. So her captors are dead. None of them can do anything to her anymore. You see the point? You see the generality here? That's what the thunders are doing. They're coming back to rescue the bride, to rescue the body, see, to rescue the outer man, to rescue my human mind. Because my mind that we call a human mind, it wasn't to remain a human mind always. It was only a human mind because of a veil that came over it. And that veil, of course, came at the tree of knowledge in the garden. So, once my wife is returned back inside of me, so to speak, the same way Eve came out of Adam, we find at Calvary, Jesus takes Eve back into himself. We say when he resurrected from the dead, that's when it happened. So once he resurrects from the dead, he takes Eve back into himself, because now she served her purpose, served her point. Let's say she's produced a child, which is what God wanted from the beginning anyway. He said, I want to reproduce my image. Let us go and make man in our image. He done that, and now the woman can come back home, so to speak. Come back to be one with the Father, one with the husband. Reproduction takes place in that separation. But once the separation is over and unity comes back and oneness comes back, then you have the doors closed. Just no more children can be born to that extent. So now then, that's easy to see, because, when you say a rent veil, then a rent veil is like an open door. When the door is open, you can go into it and you can come out of it. So a husband can enter his wife at a rent veil, and then the child comes forth out of a rent veil. But once the husband and wife come back together, the door is shut. There's no rent veil to enter no more. You see what I'm saying? Salvation and the potential for salvation is over at that point. Of course, that has to do with the blood on the mercy seat. Now, I'm not going to go into it, but when you speak of the blood on the mercy seat, if you remember, blood, when it comes to the woman having to do with our body, then look at it in this manner. The body, being our wife, being the woman side of us, then her being under the blood to that extent, we say she's under the blood, she was given grace. But if you remember in the Bible, when she had a blood issue, then her blood issue caused her to be counted as to unclean. When she's unclean, then she has to be without the camp. She had to go outside the camp, so to speak, for like a period of 7 days until her purification was over. See, so our body was separated from the spirit by the rent veil of Calvary. The spirit was rent from the body was rent from the spirit. The body was put in the outer courts, so to speak, because it was considered unclean, and it's been in the outer courts. Jesus hanging on the cross, been symbolic of the same woman, suffering like he did in the outer courts of this world of humanity. But there was a blood issue, and while there was a blood issue, then the body is considered unclean. That's why the preachers have been preaching in the New Testament screams that how we're supposed to not be in the flesh, stay out of the flesh, because the flesh was considered unclean. Well, that goes into a lot of things I'm not going to talk about at the moment. I just want to mention that because it does tie in with what we're talking about here. So, the woman's issue of blood, Jesus, the woman part of God, as to his body, God said, a body thou hast prepared me. His body, his wife, okay, he has an issue of blood. He's a blood-dipped vesture. And he's put without the count. He's put in the outer courts. Calvary is the altar, see. The altar is in the outer courts. So there's Jesus with the blood. Now, that ties in with them going through the Red Sea, why the Egyptians only made it so far into the Red Sea, then the Red Sea crashed in on them, because they had to do the unclean part that was cast out. The same way the woman's blood is pushing forth through that blood, is a cleansing to her, and it casts out the evil things, the unclean things. So we find that happening with Pharaoh going into the Red Sea, being symbolic of blood, Israel being like a woman nation, and him being cast out, him and his followers being cast out through that blood. Then we find, how that the word month comes from the word moon, because it's based on the cycle of the moon. And the Bible says that the moon turned to blood, which was Jesus at Calvary. So that means the moon is on a cycle of every 30 days, and the woman is on the cycle with her issue of blood every 30 days. And you find that, interestingly enough, you find that there is a woman standing on the moon at one point, and you think about it in your mind, if there's a woman which represents the moon, and she's standing on the moon, then let's say if she's during her time of the month is on her, then blood is dripping down from her onto the moon, turning it into blood, or we say covering it in blood. Which, that also goes back to Jesus at Calvary. All these things go back to Jesus at Calvary. It just takes the mind of God to unveil it and show it to you. But when you see it through the eyes of God, when you see it through the eyes of Calvary, it all becomes very clear. Calvary is like zooming in. It's like getting your focus. You got a telescope or binoculars and you're looking at something off at a distance. Sometimes you have to adjust the view to where it'll get to a point where it's clear. And sometimes, you take like a guy who's a sharpshooter. I don't know about now with all the modern guns, but they used to have crosshairs, they call them. And if you could put the center of the crosshairs on the target, you could pretty much hit it 99% of the time, wherever you was aiming at. And see, Calvary is them crosshairs. When you take all your revelations and all your knowledge and all your wisdom and all your understanding and you take it back to Calvary, then what you do is you're looking at the Word of God through the crosshairs. And then God is the revelation that fires off from the gun. You hear the thunders, the boom, of the exploding of the bullet, and the thunder sound, and you hit the mark in Revelation every single time, because the revelation does not miss. Tongues may fail, prophecies may fail, but revelation doesn't fail. If it's revealed, it's the truth, because only truth can be revealed. So if it's revelation, and it's the true revelation of God, then it never misses, see, because it all goes back to Calvary. And Revelation has its crosshairs, so to speak, on the person of Jesus Christ, who is the volume of the book, and it never misses. And the Spirit of Revelation is that focus. Your spiritual mind, your spiritual eyesight, your inward man, like a sharpshooter, will look through that telescope, or that scope they call it. And if it puts them crosshairs on the object, and that object's a little blurry, then it adjusts, it adjusts a knob or adjusts some kind of setting to the point where it'll become clear. And once he's got his crosshairs on that object, looking at everything through the red veil of Calvary, then everything becomes clear, and the Spirit of Revelation, so to speak, can pull the trigger, the thunder can sound by the boom, and a revelation comes forth that hits the target. Let's say if it's a bullet in the gun and the man's got his crosshairs on it, and let's say it's an apple on top of a fence post, then that object, that apple, is like the human carnal intellect viewing things in this world. Even when you look at the Bible through a human carnal intellect, that's what you're doing. You're seeing it through a carnal veil. But notice through the spiritual mind of Christ, when your inward man, so to speak, Christ in your inward man, he'll take that and he will look through it, the spiritual eyesight, see that apple, and then he'll put the crosshairs on it, look at it through the formula of Calvary, and then the Spirit of Revelation, so to speak, pulls that trigger, the thunder sound, the revelation goes forth, and what does it do? It strikes the apple, and it splits the apple, we're saying, two, or it unveils the apple. It rends the veil over the apple in its symbolic type. And all of a sudden now you see the spiritual revelation of the apple, or whatever it might be in the Bible. It might be a story, it might be a person, it might be a place, or whatever it is, it's symbolic of that apple. The human concept goes away, and you ring the veil, and the spiritual revelation comes forth. And now you're able to see it as to what it truly is. It becomes a spiritual revelation. Then it's not an apple anymore. You see God in that revelation. And it might be the trees, the stars, the clouds, the sun, the moon, people, places, events. It doesn't matter what it is. Everything we see in life, we base it on a human carnal understanding. But when the Spirit of Revelation comes into your life, like a sharpshooter, it will put a bullet, so to speak. It will rend the veil in your mind of that object, and you'll see God. You'll see that thing become spiritually unveiled, and it will unveil God before you everything exists within the mind of God. And but we walk around like blind people because we have a veil of darkness, of carnality interwoven with our mind from the fall that gives us a carnal human intellect of everything in existence. Therefore, we don't see God in everything. You take like an atheist, he looks around and he don't see God in anything. But you take a born-again child of God that's been born again and has the spirit of revelation, then his eyes of faith and his spiritual eyes look around and he sees God in everything. See? So there's a huge contrast there because of the difference in their perspectives. So anyway, I hope that makes sense to you. I don't mean to get off in all that. I really want to talk to you about this here in the book of Revelations. Now if you'll notice, it says, Revelation chapter 9, and this is where the Lord deals with me. And I'll try to stay on point with this because this is kind of where the Lord stopped me at, so I wanted to share this with you. But there's a reason why. I said, Lord, the fifth angel sounded, and I said, Lord, and a star fell. I said, Lord, I don't know about any of these things. And now look at this, through my human mind, so to speak. My human mind, I know it's just empty. It doesn't know anything. And anything it can know, it's not going to be of any use to you. Because you can know the Bible like the back of your hand, intellectually. Through intellectual, carnal knowledge, you can know this Bible. But it's all the dead letter of the Word. And when it's dead, then it means there's no life there. It does you no good whatsoever. So there's no point in reading it in a human mind, only with this exception, that God does use that. And he'll take the human element. If you have faith, if your heart is soft and you're hungry, he'll take that, drop it down into your spirit, and turn it into revelation. You might look at it like the Bible, as far as knowledge, is like gathering peanuts. So all the time they're reading, you're gathering peanuts, but they also got the shell on them. Then God will come and he'll take, accordingly to your faith, he'll take some of those peanuts and he'll break the shell and put them down into your inner man. So he'll unveil them. And then they'll become spirit and life when you see them by faith. So, that's what the Lord does. So I said, Lord, I don't understand these things. And then I hear the mind of the Lord will come to me. The mind that's in my inward man. It's always present with me, and it'll talk to me. And as it talks to me, it begins transforming my human mind. And God says to me like this, he says, son, let me share this with you. Now, he's done this a number of times. He's been really talking to us about the seals and the thunders, and it's been absolutely astounding. Not that others, great men of God who have come along, did not understand these things. I believe they did. But I believe they weren't able to utter them because it wasn't time for them to be uttered as the time frame we are in now. We are now entered the season and the age for the thunders and the seals to be made known and understood, comprehended, and the change of the body is at hand. I really believe that. The Lord has showed that to me through spiritual revelation. We watched it come for 30 years, get closer and closer, and it finally arrived, and now He has let me know that we are now officially in the day that the door has been opened into heaven as to a manifesting, and so that's the age we're in now. But He's been talking to us a lot about the seals and showing us things I've never heard before, never seen before. And he was talking to me about it this morning. So let's open up the Bible here. He said, son, whenever you read in the Bible, especially in the book of Revelations, about the angels and about the trumpets and all these things, he said, you got to remember like this. I'm going to give you some help here. He said, this is how you see it. Everything in the book of Revelations deal with one of these sections here. He said, of course you know, because he's told me, that this all goes back to my son, the Lord Jesus Christ, and what he did at Calvary. His death, his burial, and his resurrection. He says, whenever you hear about angels in the Bible, you're looking at the spiritual Christ side of things. When you see anything about wrath and death and destruction, or something that appears to be unclean or evil taking place, he says that's the side of Jesus that was made sin. Because his outer man became sin itself. And sin is the nature of the devil, and the devil is the wrath of God upon sin. The great man of God told us this. So we see, he said, you have a spiritual side. So you say like this, there are 7 angels with 7 trumpets. He said, don't look at it in the sense of saying, well, here's God up there on the throne, he sends an angel to do this, and this angel does that, and that angel does that. He says, don't look at it like that no more, because you're looking at it individually, and you're still looking at it in the realm of time. He said, my angel is my spirit, and my spirit is my angel. I I told you in my word, I'll make my spirit, or I'll make my angels ministering spirits. And what is an angel but a spirit? So if there is the Bible says Jesus concerning the angel of Christ that was with them in the Old Testament, it says that it called Christ an angel. So God says to me like this morning, he said, son, if it's the first angel, he says, and if it's the seventh angel, and if it's all the angels in between, he said, they're all my spirit. You remember the seven spirits of God? Not that God is seven different individual spirits, but God dealing with mankind in seven different times, seven different measures, seven different ways. But it's the same God that comes in each one of them angels. It's God speaking, God returning. When he comes the first time, we'll say he's the first angel. When he appears the second time, he's the second angel. When it appears the third time, it's the same Christ, the same third angel. It's the same Christ, the same mind of Christ coming each time, revealing what it's going to reveal to the people of that day and that hour. And then he says like this, there's seven trumpets, and one of the trumpets, the Bible says, lift up your voice like a trumpet. And this thing we know, especially when it comes to the seventh trumpet. Everybody says, what is the seventh trumpet? And the days of the voice of the seventh angel. See, and we always try to make it about a person. When it's not about a person, then God will use a man to manifest it through it. But spiritually speaking, the focus is not on the man that the angel speaks through. The focus is on the angel itself and what it is saying. The message of the angel is all important, see? So what is the seventh angel doing? It's Christ, doing the same thing as he did to the previous six angels. He's returned, sounding another measure of light for a time, for a space, for an age. So this is the spiritual Christ doing it to that extent. It's revealing something each time. So the seventh angel is Christ, the same way he was the sixth angel. So when you say an angel, seven angels, the seventh angel, then you're saying the angel of Christ. The angel of Christ came once. Then it came again a second time. Then it came again a third time. And each time it looked to John as if it was an angel, a separate angel as far as our human understanding goes. But really, it was the same Christ. There's no time in the Spirit. There's no time to God. There's no time in heaven. And all these things that John is seeing and writing to us are taking place in heaven. So we keep looking at it saying, well, the first angel, that happened back even so many X amount of days ago, and X amount of years ago. Well, let's just use for an example, over in 300 AD, the first angel sounded, and then the second angel sounded in 1500 AD. And all the things, there might be truth to that. And I'm sure there is, because it shows the type of shadow in the earth. But the point of it is that in your human mind, when you see it in the spiritual mind, when you see it by faith, then you try to comprehend what the angel is saying, not the type and shadow that was manifested from it. The type and shadow that was manifested from it can help for sure. But what you want to see is the spiritual revelation of what the message that the angel is bringing to you. That's why, if you'll notice, when the seventh angel comes, it is Christ returning to finish the mysteries. Because seven is the number of completion. Therefore, when he comes, he finishes the mysteries. Therefore, when he comes, if you notice in the seventh seal, that when it's open, or when the seventh trumpet sounds, when the seventh angel sounds, they're all three connected. An angel is a seal and it has a trumpet. Then it says that seven thunders uttered their voices. What that means is, seven thunders uttered their voices. It was an all-at-once thing. It wasn't a thing as it has been in the past where an angel sounded once a certain measure of light, and then X amount of years later it returned again as the second angel to expound another measure of light. That's come to pass, so to speak, in ages gone by. But when the seventh angel sounds and the seven thunders uttered their voices, that indicates one person, one being to that extent, has now comprehended the entirety of the mind of God, the entirety of the Word of God. It understands the mystery of God, and it is God personified one last time in a human being that's sounding forth the thunders. Because it's no longer a knowledge in part, it's a knowledge into its fullness, a completion, a full understanding. You might say like this, if I hear the first angel speak, I hear its message, I comprehend what it says, and I've comprehended one thunder, we'll say, in a type. You can look at it like that. I know in part. Then the second angel comes months, years later, I hear it speak, now I've comprehended a second thunder. See, I'm in part. See, I'm reading a book and I'm reading it chapter by chapter. But there comes a time, I've read all the chapters, I know what the book is saying. Now all 7 of those thunders have compounded themselves. They came together and formed one unified comprehension of the entire book. That which is perfect is come, and that which is in part is done away with. See? So now when the thunder sound, it's not sounding as to, well, let's put a thunder here, and let's put a thunder there, and then let's spread the thunders out. It's not like that as it was in the days of the 7 trumpets. This is as to a comprehension of the entire thing in you. You've arrived, you've graduated, you comprehend the book now. You took the book into your mouth, and you swallowed it, and you are what you eat. As you think in your heart, you are, therefore you became the thunders. You are the thunders. You are the mind of God in its fullness. You are the mind of God in its entirety. So you've comprehended. That's what that means. It doesn't mean that when thunders come that this man's going to receive part of the thunders and that man's going to receive part of the thunders, or this brother here's got part of the thunders and this brother here's got part of the thunders. See, it's coming back to a one mind and one accord. And they were in one mind and one accord at Pentecost, see? A fullness of the stature where they manifested God like there's never been in the history of the world. And that's going to come back again to the brotherhood, to the many-membered man-child. They're going to be, all of them will understand and have the fullness of the mind of God in them all at one time. They will all walk the earth as many Jesuses, you might say. Not just one Jesus, but many. The same way today at Pentecost, there wasn't just one Jesus anymore. The baptism of the Holy Ghost came up on Peter and James and John and all the others that were there. They went forth like they were Jesus as well, and they healed the sick, raised the dead, cast out devils, all them kind of things. So that's going to come back as to a power in the church where there will be many Jesuses, because the sons of God are arriving at their maturity, at their graduation, to where they redeemed their body, they conquered death the same way their big brother did, so to speak. And when they do, then God is manifested and personified in them. And then when He's personified in them, they will do and manifest the works of God the same way they did at Pentecost, the same way Jesus did in His life. That's what the ultimatum of the thunders is. That's what the thunders are doing. The thunders has come to bring about the final last move of God, which is the manifestation of the sons of God. It is the inward Christ appearing with us, we appearing with it, appearing to our outer man, or outer mind, our Eve, our wife, our body, to redeem it, to change its mind, to transformate that human mind and make it the same as the mind of Christ in the spiritual inward man, which causes the two to be merged into one mind. We say my inward man, let's say, might have a mind of its own. My outer man may have a mind of its own. And then we say God has a mind of His own. Well, when my inward man was born again, then the mind of God swallowed up my inward mind. My inward man, who had an inward mind, it was swallowed up by the mind of God, and they became literally one mind. Then the two of them, so to speak, just use that for example, saying two, there's really just one mind now. When God swallows your mind, it's not your mind no more, now it's all His mind, because His mind's the greater mind. Then you might say your mind and God's mind being one mind, then y'all come back and now you redeem or you transformate the mind of the outer man, the mind of your wife, the mind of your outer body, that human element, that human mind, you swallow that mind up. And when you do, all three minds are now but one mind. You are now God personified in the human body, which is not really a human body anymore at that point. It's now a transfigured, glorified, changed body. And death has no power or right, and it can never enter that body. So that's what it's speaking of, okay? So Elijah goes away in the translation. And then Elisha, see the spirit denoted by the mantle, Elisha gets it, he turns, and he goes away, so to speak, to swipe the same Jordan, walk back over to that extent, appear forth out of the heavens, to redeem the outer man, to redeem my bride, to redeem my body, to transformate my human mind, to make my human mind not a human mind anymore. My human mind transformates into, just like a worm goes into a cocoon and comes out a butterfly, my human mind went into a veil of a cocoon, that when the spirit of revelation would return into it, then my human mind would be rend the veil of that cocoon, and it would come forth as the same spiritual mind of Christ. Therefore, then, it's like Paul said, it's not you living, it's Christ that lives in you. That's not pertaining to just your inward spiritual man anymore. Now it's alive, and it's manifested itself in your outer man, to you at that point, once you're manifested, once the manifestation begins, then it will be God that they're beholding then. The same God that they saw in Jesus, the same God they saw in Peter, James, John after Pentecost. I'm so sorry. The devil just don't like these things being said. That's all I can tell you. It's one thing after another. We're going to keep on. We're going to keep on going because that's what the Lord wants us to do. We're not going to let the devil stop us. These things are casting him out of the body, casting him out of the human mind, and he don't like it. But anyway, I apologize for the noise. That was all it takes is one little simple thing, and chaos breaks out, and all the noise, and then people lose interest. It breaks the train of thought. It breaks the mountain of the anointing. It's incredible, folks. I'm telling you, if you just knew the battles I have to go through just to get something down on tape or on video or on type it up in a document to be read. The devil is starting to become aware. He might not know exactly where, to what extent, but he is starting to become aware because his kingdom is starting to be shaken. You don't know where the shaking is coming from, but he's aware that there's a power that's now coming to the earth that's going to end him and is ending him, and it's causing his very kingdom to shake like it's never shook before, and he don't like that, and he's got his devils and demons out searching for the source of where the thunders are coming from, but God's got us hid at the moment, so he can't find us. But he's got devils and demons out looking, and he's already sensed, I've already discerned it, that he has sensed that the ones that are here to end his kingdom, and the knowledge that they need to end his kingdom is already here, and he is nervous, he is trembling, and he is out frantically trying to look and find them and destroy them and kill them if he can. So that's what's happening. Whatever he can do in any person, place, or event that he can do to try to stop this power, this authority, this understanding from destroying his kingdom, he's going to do it. He's going to fight like the little funny thing said, like you're a third monkey trying to get on the ark. He's going to be fighting just like that. So anyway, I apologize again for the noise and interference there, but it won't be long, it'll stop. God will put an end to all that. His voice will flow so peaceful and powerful, and like a river of honey, and nothing will be able to stand before it. But anyway, I still ain't got around to what I want to talk to you about, but in a way, we've really gotten there to a large extent. We've already said a lot of things that are beautiful, wonderful, incredible things already in the sermon. But back to the book of Revelations. In the book of Revelations, God said to me, he said, son, it's either the Spirit of Christ that you're looking at. It doesn't matter if it's 7 trumpets or 7 angels, 7 seals. He said, you're looking at the spiritual Christ, something that pertains to the spiritual Christ. He said, then if you see something like the 4 beasts, and you see something like, the great whore riding the beast of Babylon and all them kind of things, and on and on throughout the scriptures, in the book of Revelation, you've got those things. He said, then you're seeing the sin-made side of Jesus. That's what you're seeing. Jesus became all the evil that there ever would be. Jesus became it, because sin is evil. He became sin itself. So therefore, when you see that, if you see a woman riding, who's called the great whore riding a beast, then it pertains to the sin-made side of Jesus, and God can reveal that to you. If you see a dragon that speaks like a lamb, see, that's an evil thing appearing to be good. That has to do with Jesus, hanging at Calvary. You see the 4 beasts. Each one of them has to do with something that pertains to the life of Jesus. And if you read about, the Antichrist standing in the temple, the place he ought not, see, that has to do with Jesus at Calvary also. So whenever you hear about 7 trumpets, spirits, seals, those kind of things, they all have to do with something that pertains to the spirits. God's doing something spiritually, and it's manifested in the natural. So you have the spiritual Christ that everything the book of Revelation points to. Then you have the bodily side of Jesus that all the evil things in the book of Revelation point to. And then you have the other side that when Jesus resurrected from the dead, now all that wrath and all that darkness has left him, and now it's gone off to its proper place. We'll say it left the body of Jesus and came upon those that were left behind in the tribulation. Then that's another perspective of it. So you have Jesus in life as to his spirit. You have Jesus in death when he was made sin. Then you have Jesus resurrected from the dead. So those 3 perspectives is what you're seeing in the entirety of the book of Revelations. All right, and the Lord tells us these things. We wouldn't know this, but it ain't something we sat down and saw and brought up ourselves. These are things that the Lord revealed to us. So, and there's going to be some things, if you can understand it, there's going to be things if you can comprehend them, because the thunder says some hard things. What does it mean when it says hard things? What it means is, it's going to say things that's going to be so shocking to you. It's going to be a revelation so shocking to you that it's going to be hard for you to comprehend it. Now, let me give you some examples. I'm going to use some negative things, just as an example, to give you an idea of something that's going to shock you. In the world of today, perversion on every level. So let's say a mother may come home one day and she catches her husband laying in bed with their daughter, and things are going on that shouldn't be going on, and she sees this. And see, I know that's not good. It's not something to think about. I'm just using it for an example. You see, this was shocking to her. She never would have dreamed that this man could do what he was just doing with the daughter, or even what it was insinuating. See, that was shocking to her. Now let's look at it from a good standpoint. On the good side, let's say you're a man, you're out there work every day, you don't have much of an education, you go out there and you dig ditches every day, that's just your job. You're out there being a ditch digger, maybe hauling trash, wherever. You might live in a little mobile home, drive a little small car, you're barely making it, but you are making it. And you have played the lottery for 20 years, and you got to a point that though you play the lottery, you don't really expect nothing. And all of a sudden one day, you wake up, you watch the news, and you look at your ticket, and you won the Powerball. Now you're a billionaire. You see, that shock, that revelation, that shock would be so astounding to you. You'd be like, I just don't know how to handle that. You might be a husband and a wife, and y'all have a big, beautiful family, 9, 10 kids, and all of them's got promising careers ahead of them. They're all great grades, and they're all graduated school, they're all heading to college, and then one day the police come to your door and say your oldest son was killed in a wreck. See, that suddenness, that shockingness of that news would just be, you wouldn't know how to handle that. That's what you call a hard saying. It's a revelation of something that's going to shock you at what it reveals. The strength and power of what it's going to say when it reveals this to you is going to shock you. It's going to be something you're going to have, your first reaction is going to be, no, I don't think I can handle that. No, don't tell me that. No, I don't want to hear that. But the truth is the truth. No matter what you do, you can cry, you can beg, you can plead, you can throw stuff at the walls, you can go outside and then scream at the top of your lungs, you can pound the ground. Nothing's going to bring your son back, see? Nothing's going to bring that daughter back. Nothing's going to bring that grandchild back, whatever it might be, see? That news, though it was devastating, though it was shocking, it's still the truth and nothing can change it. The only thing you can do for your own sanity is to accept it, because it's true. And though in your own mind, and then people do it, in their own mind, they'll go back and they'll be like, I still don't believe it, I still just don't believe it. Things that are so shocking that have happened to them, or revelations that came so strong to them as to things in their life, that they'll still say years later, I still just can't believe this happened. I still can't believe so-and-so is gone. I can't believe maybe I got that big promotion and here I am living the life, Whatever it may be, good or bad, all those things come as a shock to you. They came as a surprise to you. And therefore, that's the illustration I'm going to give you pertaining to the thunders. Brother Brown said the thunders are going to say things that will be so hard that only a small group would probably even be able to take them. That's how deep and powerful and strong and astounding of a revelation it's going to be. And Brother Pike said the same thing concerning the thunders. And of course, he ministered on the thunders, and he said a lot of things that were very shocking. His ministry had to do with the spiritual man being translated into heaven. The thunders had to do with the double portion of the Elisha side coming back to redeem the body. It's the same spirit of Elijah. It's the same Christ. It's the same angel as the other 6 angels. It's the same as the 7th one. It's all the same Christ, the same angel of Christ, the same trumpet. He's the first and the last, therefore he's all the in-between. It's Christ returning to reveal the secret of the change of the body, the secret of immortality. He's opening up the little book to your Lamb. The great light of the ancient days is the Spirit of God that is inside of you, and it's opening up the book. It's bringing forth the revelation, revealing the secret of immortality that Enoch discovered, and Elijah discovered, and Jesus will say discovered, It's revealing that now to your outer lamb, your outer body, your outer mind. To take that outer man, to take that lamb off your cross of your life, to take the lamb off the cross of Calvary, to take the lamb from paying for the sins of the whole world. That lamb is now receiving the knowledge of its redemption, and it's not going to be paying for the sins of the world anymore. So the lamb is coming off the cross of the world. It's coming off the cross of your life. It's coming off the cross of my life. And it's changing. And everything in the earth is going to change now because the thunders of God have entered into the human body, the outer man. God has now returned back, so to speak, into the earth, and the fact that his presence is here in the earth and he's manifesting it now, breaking forth into our outer man, then it means everything that pertains to the life of the outer man and this natural world is all changing. Everything is changing now. This is why you got, the last I read, in the last 2 weeks, we've got 7 volcanoes that are now going off around the world. All the way down in Guatemala, 2 up in Alaska, over in Italy, over in Japan. Here in the States, there's 2 more. Yellowstone's getting close to erupting. There's one in the Pacific Ocean getting close to erupting. But as far as counting, as far as ones that's actually erupted already, there's 7 of them, which is unprecedented. The hailstorms we've had, the great thunderstorms, the unusual pattern of weather with the rain, the cooler air, the tornadoes that have been tripled so far this year, the damage that's been done, and on and on and on and on. And so many things are happening in the natural earth because the body has been welded to the earth. Then the change of the body will show forth as changes into the earth as well. So anyway, these things are happening. These things are taking place. Even these sermons that we're putting forth, it's the thunders going forth, we'll say, into the air. And the power that they're contained, the power that they have, the power that's in them, just them being spoken, being made known, being released, is going forth, as we say, into the air, into not returning void. They're affecting the course, the rotation, and the natural state of the whole earth as we speak. That's how powerful these thunders are. They're literally affecting the natural state of the earth, the weather system of the earth, the ground of the earth. That's why there's been such an increase in earthquakes and tornadoes and volcanoes. You're going to hear about more and more. Hailstorms are going to get greater and greater, and more destruction as the earth is getting ready to birth forth the great millennium. So anyway, that's the power of the thunders. They're already here, and that's why you're seeing all these changes in the earth take place. Now then, let's finally get back over here. In Revelation chapter 9, you see that the 5th angel sounds, and it says a star fell from heaven, and to him was given the key of the bottomless pit. Now I want you to know this, as we just said, everything goes back to Calvary, everything goes back to Jesus being made sin. If you can understand this, we're going to say some things, as we do in every sermon. It's going to be hard things to understand. They're going to be shocking to you. But it's also, the shock is taking you out of that mental box that you've been in. That mental box, that spiritual box, that mind of understanding of what you thought was in the Bible, what you thought about the verses, what you thought about God and his word, your own interpretation, your own ideology, your own idea of what the word of God was saying, your interpretation of that word has formed a box. And you are in a box mentality of God. You're in a box mentality of how you view God. Where the thunders is here to shake you out of that box, to end that box. Because that box is a casket. That box is a grave. And the thunders are here to awaken your outer man from the sleep of sin, the sleep of death, and to awaken it to his own eternal righteousness, which is what it's doing. So the 5th angel sounded. And who is the angel? It's the angel of Christ. It's the Spirit of God. And it said, it was revealing here that it saw a star. Well, we know the star that fell from heaven was the star of wormwood. That's just common sense. That would make it, the star that fell from heaven was wormwood. You say worm, you're speaking of the serpent hanging on the tree. Worm and wood. We brought this out before. Then when you stop and consider the great thing about the birth of Jesus, the night he was born, was the star that was in the sky. The wise men, who were considered the Magi, which is where the word magicians come from, that was a forbidden thing to be doing. They were forbidden by Mosaic law. They were forbidden to be practicing magic. Yet here are these people who practice magic, who follow the stars. They're looking to the spiritual realm without the wedding garment, so to speak. So they see this star and they know by it, there's enough reflected understanding to their mind that they understand that something's taking place. So they go and they see the birth of Jesus. They find the Christ child, as we say. But there's the star that's shining in the night announcing his birth. Not that the star fell that they saw. That's not what it's saying. It's not saying that the star that led them to Jesus' birth fell. It's saying that Jesus, who was that star, laying there in that manger, he was the star that fell, is what it's saying. In other words, the Bible says he was the Word made flesh. Well, what is the Word? The Word is God. And what is God? God is heaven. So God clothed himself on with a human body, and he came downward. He left the heights of heaven, he came downward to this natural earth, so he fell in that sense. We always think of when something falls, that it's a bad thing. Somebody was walking, they tripped over a toy, or tripped over a root in the ground, or tripped over a rock and they fell, and you see that's a bad thing. Well, in one way you can see it like that, but when the temperature falls, if it's been a hot day, let's say 100 degrees for 3 or 4 days, the cold front comes through and drops the temperatures to the upper 70s, you have a fall in temperature. But that's not a bad thing, that was a very good thing, see. People talk about falling in love all the time. Well, when you fall in love, that's not a bad thing. If it's real love and you fall in love, that's a good thing. So see, because this star fell, it's not altogether a bad thing to that extent. So, if you got a cat stuck in a tree and it won't come out, and you shake the tree and the cat falls, well, that was a good fall. See, you catch it. And if your child is not able to walk real good, it's just learning how to walk and it's walking through the house and it sees you and comes trying to run towards you. Just about time it gets to you, it trips and starts to fall. You reach down to catch it real quick, so you scoop it up in its arms and you love on it. And see, that produced a great moment, a precious moment between you and the child. It could trust you. By its falling, you caught it, and now there's a bond of trust there between you two. So anyway, the point of it is, here's a star, and it fell to heaven, to the earth. It was given the key of the bottomless pit. Now here's what's going to get hard, because when you say the bottomless pit, what you're saying is, what is it that allowed the bottomless pit to be opened? The bottomless pit is filled with evil. It's filled with debauchery. It's filled with perversion. Every demonic, devil, and unclean spirit is there inside that bottomless pit. Why would this angel have a key that's going to unlock the bottomless pit? It's got a key, and it's going to unlock the bottomless pit. And then when it does, it's going to release all these devils and demons upon the earth. All right, now watch this. This is really beautiful. This is the thunder speaking. You've never heard this before in this manner. That's what the Lord's told us. He's never given the thunder like he has in this wise, looking at it from these perspectives like he is now. Not that others didn't know it, but they weren't able to make it known. It wasn't the time or season, like Paul said. He was born out of season. There was things Paul understood that he never could have uttered. But now we're in the age where God is allowing us to utter those things. So we're not uttering something new when we say we have the thunder. This ain't something new that no one's ever known. It's just something new that no one's ever understood because God's never allowed them to speak it. See, all we're doing is just speaking the thunder as it's always been. See, we're speaking something that's always been, but it's just now come to life. God's now allowing it to be spoken. Like Paul said, he was born out of season. Well, Paul could have been born in this day, and if he would, then he would have been allowed to speak the things that he did understand. Which we know the revelation of Jesus Christ came through Brother Pike, and it did speak. But now pertaining to these thunders that have to do with your body, the changing of your body, redeeming your body, bypassing the grave, changing the body, because the body never dies anymore. The body reaching forth its hand, taking forth to the tree of life, to never die anymore. That revelation has not come forth on the level and in the way, in the measure, in the perspective that's coming forth now in. So the bottomless pit is being opened, and it's releasing the devils and demons to come down on the earth to be free to roam, so to speak, being free to roam. What is it that this bottomless pit is? For one, you see something odd, because when Jesus was here on the earth, he's walking around and he comes across this demon-possessed man. They call him the maniac of the Gadarenes. The Gadarenes was a certain place over there in this, the area of Gadara. And this man was in that area, living in the tombs, having to do with death, cutting himself. See, all this has, even that man in his life, the insanity that he was going through had to do with Jesus being made sin. The man had legions of devils in him, the same way Jesus was infected, so to speak, or he got indwelt by legions of devils. because he got every devil and demon in hell into him. Because when he was made sin, then sin itself, and that means every devil and demon in hell, he became it. So he's like the maniac of the Gadarenes. So Jesus is there talking to this man, and then when he cast the devils and demons out of him, which had to do with Jesus conquering death, he just let alone cast the devils and demons of death out of his own body. But when he done this, here's what happened. This is odd. I want you to stop and consider this. The demons and devils said, "Have you come to torment us before our time?" And of course, Jesus, in dealing with them, they said they knew they had a time that was to come. They knew they had a time when they were going to be judged and they were going to be cast forth, so to speak, back into hell, we'll say. But at that moment, there with Jesus, they were not bound. They were not in hell to that extent. They were free to roam about. They were free to enter human bodies. They were free like a weed is free to grow. A kudzu vine is free to grow. The same rain that waters the flowers, the same rain that waters the weeds and the kudzu. It gives them freedom and sovereignty to grow as much as they want to. The devils and demons had freedom to go and live in human bodies as much as they wanted to. They wasn't down in hell. They were out on the earth roaming free. And look what they did. Look at this thing that sounds so horrible to consider. But they asked Jesus, for one, they knew he couldn't do nothing to this extent because they said, "You come to torment us before our time." They knew that they had a time when they would be tormented, and that time was not yet. They had enough spiritual insight to know that. Though he was God, though he was standing there in a human body before them, he gave them what they asked for when they said, "Let us go forth into the swine." Sure enough, Jesus said, "Go," and they went forth into the swine. He didn't send them back to hell. He didn't send them back to a place of change and darkness. They were still free to leave the man going to the pigs. See? And no doubt when the pigs died, they didn't die with the pigs. They just departed the pigs and went on and got into other people. See? They had free reign of the earth to that extent. So what is it? Jesus, as to his sin-made side, when he came to the earth, the Word made flesh, and he was made sin, and grace was given by shedding of his blood, by the rending of the veil. Now hold on, this is going to get wild and deep. But when he rent the veil, then what happened? When he rent the veil, the bottomless pit was now opened. The rending of the veil was the opening of the bottomless pit. Jesus was the angel. He was the spirit. He was the star, wormwood, that fell to the earth as to his flesh, and then when his flesh was made sin, that's the most important part you got to remember. We're not talking about Jesus that goes out there and heals the sick and raises the dead. We're talking about this Jesus whom God had now forsaken, God had now departed, God had now left this man. When he did, now he's showing up in his body, the fallen side of mankind, the side of him that's at the nighttime, which is when you see the stars at nighttime. And now it's being revealed that he is the star fallen from heaven. And by him giving forth his blood and giving forth that grace of Calvary, he is opening the bottomless pit. He's allowing, grace of Calvary is allowing the devils and the demons to roam the earth. Do you see it? Grace became the bottomless pit. It opened up the bottomless pit to humanity. It opened up the bottomless pit to the world. It opened up the bottomless pit to every demon and devil to come forth and do whatever they pleased. It says a smoke came out of that pit. And the smoke was of a great furnace, which means heat. Heat means fire. The devils and demons are fire. Notice, it says, "And the sun and the air were darkened." Who's the prince of the power of the air? But Satan. And the sun, the air were darkened by reason of the smoke of the pit. Remember in the book of Revelations, when it talks about in the sixth seal how that the sun turned black? Well, here we see the sun and the air were darkened. Darkened by what? They were darkened by the smoke of the great furnace. What did that smoke do? You remember in the Bible, in the Old Testament, there was when the Bible speaks of the glory of the Lord filling the temple, there was one place that said in the smoke, it called it the smoke. It said the smoke filled the temple. See, the smoke had to do with Satan entering the body of Jesus. And his body is the temple of God. Antichrist entering the temple of God. The place he ought not. Grace from Calvary. The grace that it should not. Because the children of God have always had the righteousness of God. They've always been perfect in God, though they did not know it. They've always been perfect before God. They never needed grace. Grace was a part of the deception that God suffered it to be to help their faith, to make them think they needed grace, but they never did need grace. Grace was never for the children of God. Though God suffered to have it because in their mind they felt like they had to have something. God had to show them out. He had to give them out because they were being accused day and night by the accuser of the brethren that they were evil and wicked and sinful when they never were. It was a lie. And they were innocent and they were still believing the lie that they never were sinners when they never were to begin with. 1 John 3 tells us Christians cannot sin. They were Christians by predestination, by foreknowledge, which means they never sinned to begin with. God never laid the charge of sin against one child of God ever because it's impossible for them to sin. That's the message of Christian perfection we've talked to you about. So they've been perfect, so they never needed grace. The great man of God told us this on a number of occasions. He said that we rise over Calvary, and the Calvary was not for us. And the reason he said them things, we didn't understand it then like we do now, but it was because we never sinned to begin with, which is also what was revealed to us through the revelation of Jesus Christ's message that he brought forth. And that we were perfect, and we've been perfected forever. We've always been perfect, then we never needed grace because we never sinned to begin with. If you can't lay anything to the charge of God's elect, then that means the law has no power to accuse you. If the law has no power to accuse you because you never did anything wrong to begin with, then you can't be charged with sin. Therefore, you never needed no grace to be forgiven of sin because you can't be forgiven of something you've never done. So neither law nor grace was for you and me. Law and grace was for the wicked. Law came to reveal to the wicked that they were wicked. So what was grace for? Grace was a strong delusion. Grace went down to the wicked and opened up the bottomless pit and gave them free run of the earth, so to speak. Grace was Satan entering the body of Jesus, entering his blood, sharing that blood, so to speak, saying to his wicked, saying to his own seed, now you go forth and you can live however you want to without consequence. We've killed the Son of God, so to speak. Now Satan is in control. Death is ruling in the body. He said to the body, to those that are under blood, those who live in flesh and blood bodies, to his devils and demons, y'all can go now and live in flesh and blood bodies. Go and partake of the waters of life and cool your parched tongues. This is our day. Grace has made allowance to have a day. The same rain that once fell on the flowers now can fall on us, the weeds and the kudzu. See? The same demon that can get water from the stream, now the wolf can, so to speak. See, the same dove that can go and get water from the river or the lake or the pond or whatever it might be. Now the raven can do it also. See, the law gave life. The law gave strength. The law brought the image of Satan and sin to life. Because the law casts the shadow of unbelief, and Satan gets his strength and his power from unbelief. So the law came to reveal sin, who is Satan. Satan is the nature of sin. The law didn't come to accuse you of sin. It came to reveal Satan, that he was the accuser of the brethren. It came to accuse Satan of sin. So I want you to see that. So Jesus at Calvary, when he was made sin, he was the star because when God departed him, he revealed the false side of Jesus. When God departed him, the heavenly perspective was now removed. That element of the heavenly perspective was now rolled away and taken out of the way. And now what you're seeing at Calvary is not God in Jesus anymore. You're seeing Satan, the image of sin, standing in the body of Jesus, being the Antichrist, standing in the temple of God, the place he ought not. And now what is he doing at Calvary? He's ruling the world by saying, I'm the God of this world of darkness. I'm the God of this night time. I'm the star, so to speak, that fell from heaven, that fell into the body of Jesus, so to speak. And now look at what's happening. I'm opening up the bottomless pit. I'm opening up the calm mind. I'm spreading carnality over all the earth. The shadow of my veil is so great that it falls over the shadow. It covers the valley in a shadow of death. See? That's what I'm here to do. I'm the darkness in that bottomless pit. When the body and spirit separated, I'm the darkness that came in that empty space between the body and spirit. And I'm here as darkness, a nighttime of darkness and death to the body. And I veil God from you on one side of me, and I put your body in the grave, so to speak, on the other side of me. See? Your body is to the earth. The sun is to God, been veiled from you. I am now the moon that sits in between the sun and the earth. I am now the moon, which the moon is what? The lesser light of the law. He is the shadow of the law. He's the wrath and sin and death of the law. He's now standing in the body of Jesus. And he's being revealed as being standing there in the body of Jesus. And what is he doing? He's giving grace to his people, because grace to his seed, because the law is what gave them power to exist. But when it came forth to exist, there was no water for them to live off of. So Satan, so to speak, gives them grace because they're his seed. He gives them grace to go and live into the blood life of the people. Because the spirit of man is the water of life, and the spirit of man flows to his body and his blood being the carrier. Therefore, that's why Satan desired to get into the body of Jesus and into the blood of Jesus, was so that his spirits could live off the life, the water, the spirit of man. They needed water to cool their parched tongues, and now they got it. The day of grace gave it to them. The same way the weed. Nobody wants to weed around, but yet the rain falls, and it falls upon the weed just as much as it does the rose. See? It was an abomination of God to grant life to the wicked as much as he did the righteous. It was an abomination to him. But he was in a precarious situation that we'll go into later, but he was forced to do it for a time. So the bottomless pit was open. What was the bottomless pit? It was that darkness that came over Jesus at Calvary. When the veil was rent twain, the bottomless pit was now open. See? When you look at it from the bodily perspective, it was Satan entering into the body of Jesus, ruling the earth through that blood, which means Satan is in the blood that was on the mercy seat. The soul of Jesus going to hell. Man being a living soul, subjecting man to the hell of Satan's presence, subjecting man to the carnality, the perversions, the unbelief, Satan subjecting man to himself through the body of Jesus. This is why Calvary must end. Because God said, if I don't chop down that tree, if I don't end that tree, if I don't get death out of that body of my son, no flesh will be saved. Because the devil and the demons are going to take over everybody. Because grace gives them strength to do that. Grace gives them life. You see, like the kudzu, so to speak. If you don't burn the kudzu, if you don't cut it down to the root, it will grow over the entire forest and kill all of it. No flesh will be saved, see? God won't have to come back and change anybody's bodies to his church, because the body of the church is still a flesh that is still in its sin-made image. It will become so tempted and so wicked that it will not be no point in changing the body. He'll have to destroy them all. But to show, as Jesus defeated death in his body, then that means there will be his elect, his many-membered man-child body, you and I, the born-again children of God that can take these thunders. They will also redeem their body and change their body and defeat death in their body and bypass the grave, just like Paul said, we shall not all sleep. Therefore, God has to end it at some point. He can't allow grace to continue on in that way, in that manner. So what was the opening of the bottomless pit? It was the rent veil of Calvary. And I know you've always seen that as a good thing. But now when you understand that you're perfect, and you've always been perfect, and you have the righteousness of God, now you can look back and realize you never needed grace, and that grace was not good to you as you thought it was. Grace was actually something that made allowance for Satan and sin and death to remain in your physical body. And the thunders were here to cast sin and Satan and death out of your physical body, to change your body to a glorified spiritual body that it will bypass the grave. We shall not all sleep. So the fifth angel sounded, the star fell from heaven, which was Jesus, coming down to the manger. And to him was given the key of the bottomless pit, which was the key of knowledge, see? And it was when he rent the veil, of course when he rent the veil, Then when he rent the veil, then what happened was the sun was darkened, the air was darkened by reason of the smoke. And notice it says that in verse 4, it was commanded they should not hurt the grass of the earth, neither any green thing, because that has to do with the spiritual part of you and I. And to them it was given they should not kill, but they that have been tormented for 5 months. 5 has to do with the number of the woman, also has to do with the fivefold ministry, which goes back to the woman. The woman, her issue of blood, see all this centers around the woman, which we call the church, has to do with the woman, which is the fivefold ministry, has to do with the woman, and her issue of blood that changed the moon. See, the moon, which was the law, the lesser light, it turned it into blood. Law was changed, it morphed into what we call grace. Satan, who came to life by the shadow of the law, he now enters the human body. The moon turning to blood, Satan the moon entering the human body of Jesus. Now he's covered in blood. Satan's covered in blood. He's living off the blood of Jesus like a parasite, giving grace to all his devils and demons. What does he do when he enters the body of Jesus? He becomes God of that world, the new world of darkness, the nighttime, the star that's shining in the night sky. What is he doing? He gives grace to his seed. He gives grace to his devils and demons to run rampant over the earth. Jesus' soul going into hell. See? Jesus' soul being made hell to that extent. Jesus' soul, the second highest being in heaven. The spirit being the highest. The soul being the second highest. The husband being the highest. The mother, the wife being the second highest. Being in heaven. Being cast out of heaven. Eve, the second highest human being on earth under Adam. Her being overtaken by Lucifer, by the serpent in the garden. Being made subject to darkness. Jesus, the second highest being in heaven, the Son, he comes in and he gets darkness enters him, same as it does Eve. Satan entering Eve, the Eve of God, the Eve of Jesus, ruling the world, giving freedom, giving grace to whom but his devils and demons, because the children of God never needed grace. So who needed grace but the devils and demons? Satan giving him free will of the earth by being dead in the body. God gave him his own law, so to speak, for a time, which has to do with the second heaven. That's the wall Satan built between him and God, between man and God. Cast out of the third heaven, so to speak, fell to the second heaven for a time. Then when Jesus raises from the dead, he's cast out of the first heaven, or out of the second heaven, and down into the first heaven. But right now he's there ruling the earth through the second heaven, which is the flesh and blood of the body of Jesus, down on the cross, ruling the world through the blood on the mercy seat. And he rent the veil. Death came between the spirit and the body. That rent veil was the opening of the bottomless pit, gave freedom, gave right, gave power to the devils and demons to go forth and live and not be tormented before their time. When are they tormented? When Jesus resurrects from the dead, that's when they're tormented. That's when judgment comes. That's when he enters back into the body. God, the great judge of all the earth, returns back to Jesus, whereas he departed him at Calvary. So that's what he does. He returns back to Jesus as the law of spirit and life, not the law of sin and death that Satan was, and he casts sin and death and Satan out of the body of Jesus, and then that wrath departs the body of Jesus, it departs the church, it departs the children of God, it departs our physical body, our body begins to live, our body changes into the eternal image, our body can never die anymore at that point, we become transfigured. Now where did all that wrath and sin and Satan and death go to? But those that were left behind, which was his own seed, no more grace to his own seed, now grace is over. Now law comes back in, the law of sin and death upon the people, which is a mountain burning with fire that is cast into the sea, and all of a sudden now Satan is personified in them, no longer living off the life and the blood of the Lord Jesus to that extent. No more blood on the mercy seat. So you see, he was, the rent veil was the bottomless pit. It was Calvary. I know these things are hard to see. They're very different. I told you that the thunders are a very different perspective. They're a reverse of everything you've ever seen before. And I wouldn't see them either, unless God revealed it to me. So that's what we're talking to you about here today. And you go and read about what all these things that come out of the bottomless pit look like. And all those things that take place there. So, it says they had a king over them. Verse 11, they had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit. Well, who would that be? That's Satan, of course. Where is Satan ruling from but the throne? You're strong, he made in the second heaven. They call the soul the seat, or the seat of the soul, which is the throne of Satan. Satan in your soul. Satan climbed up, we say, out of the first heaven, and he entered into the second heaven. The Bible speaks of him climbing up into the upper lintels, which means your soul. He entered Eve, so to speak, as to her fleshly body, but then he couldn't control her or rule her the way he wanted to until he got into her soul. Now, you can look at grace this way. God did give grace to the whole world, which is when Satan entered Eve, then now they had power to go and live life in the flesh. The woman had to do with the flesh. Satan living in Eve, then flesh has its way to go and live however it wants to now. God didn't charge them with that. He gave them grace to that extent. He didn't come and get on to Eve whenever she did what she did. But notice, whenever she got Adam to partake of it, now everything's changed. Then the judgment came. Then all of a sudden now they're in trouble. What did that mean? That meant that you can be out there in the world and live it up in the flesh if you don't know any better. But once you know better, then you came to a knowledge of the truth, which is when you got your Adam to partake. When your Adam partakes, that's your soul coming to the knowledge of the truth, and now you're in trouble. Now God has to start imputing sin unto you. So we see this here in Revelation chapter 9, that what it is, if you notice the woman part of it, because if you read in verse 8, verse 7 and 8 actually, it says, and the shapes of the locusts were like unto horses, which goes back to spirits, preparing the battle, and on their heads were as it were crowns like gold. It means they have a spiritual mindset. Devils and demons have this. And their faces were the faces of men. So they look like human beings, but the devils and demons in human bodies. But they look like regular people. But notice they had hairs, the hair of women, because it shows the flesh, it shows the body. This is Satan and them entering into the body of the people. The bottomless pit being opened, grace being given to Satan and his seed. And what are they allowed to do? To enter into the people. Not you and I to that extent, because our body belongs to God. We didn't come from the dust, we came from heaven. Jesus spoke of himself and as to his body, he said, I came from heaven and I go back to heaven. But the Bible says the serpent, it eats of the dust of the earth, and the body of Adam was made from the dust, and it returns back to dust, as we say. Our body was not like that. And this whole thing of the body has to do with the mind that inhabits the body, that controls the body. If the mind of Satan controls the body, then that means it is the seed of the devil, and from the dust it is, to the dust it returns. If it is the mind of God that controls the body, and it overshadows the body, then the body is eternal because it is from heaven and it goes back to heaven. So if you're born again, you redeem your body. It's just a matter of winning it, understanding and comprehending that the witness of the redemption of your body. So I'm not going to keep you. I've already kept you a long time, longer than I expected to. But notice it does say that this bottomless pit, it was the fifth angel, and it has to do with the star that fell from heaven, which had to do with Jesus coming to the earth. As to his destiny, coming to the earth as the flesh, was to be the strong delusion that God needed to draw the devils and demons to him so he could capture them in the flesh, which will be passing judgment upon all those that are in the flesh, that remain in simple flesh, who are never translated out of the flesh. That's what that was about. That's when God sent Jesus. It was a deception to the world, not a deception to the elect, but it was a deception to the world, to the Satans of this world, to draw them to the body of Jesus so he could pour his wrath out upon them and destroy them. But to do so, he had to give them the deception of grace, that they could go and live like the devil, so to speak, and be free without consequence. Well, the devil loved that, and his demons loved it, so they came out of the woodwork. They came out of hiding, so to speak. They came out of the spirit world and literally began to enter into human bodies, because who wouldn't? When you're walking around in dry places, you have no food, you have no drink, you have no water, and you long for something to cool your parched tongue. What are you going to do? As soon as somebody offers water, they offer grace, they offer rain, they offer food, you're going to run to it. See, that's what God did to the devils and demons. He let Jesus be a strong delusion as to his flesh. It had to do with giving them the quail. While they had the quail was in their mouth, the Bible says God destroyed them. And that's what he's doing with devils and demons. He let them come upon the body of Jesus thinking it was quail to eat, because they didn't want the hidden man of God's word. They couldn't take that because it was spiritual and it would destroy them. So he gave them the flesh, making them think the flesh was good. And when they came up and took of the flesh, God used it and poured his wrath out upon them and destroyed them. So anyway, the fifth angel, the bottomless pit, it all goes back to Calvary. It all goes back to the sin-made side of Jesus when he was made sin. And then when he was made sin, the veil was rent, as we say, sin, which is death and darkness, and Satan comes and stands in between the spirit and the body, ruling as death over the body, making the body subject to him. And when he done that, he allowed the devils and demons to enter the bodies of humanity, and he's been allowed to remain in the human body until the blood comes off the mercy seat, the thunder sound, and they remove the blood off the mercy seat. because of the seventh seal, you'll realize when you read about the seventh seal, we brought this out already, how that when the seventh seal is open, the thunder sound, that's when you see all that wrath of God that was in the body of Jesus, departing the body of Jesus, him returning back to life, and it goes out and falls down, so to speak, upon the people left behind who didn't make the translation or the rapture in the earth. And the only ones that are protected at that time is the sealed-in Jews of the 144,000. Outside of that, the Gentile world is destroyed. Samson, the man child of God, he pulls down the two pillars of law and grace, because both law and grace had to do with the world of Satan and the world that he created. And that goes into some pretty deep stuff, just saying that, which has to do with the whole Bible and 66 books. Jesus, the man, on the sixth day, so to speak, God made man in his image, Jesus being made the image, but he was made the image of sin. Here he is in the middle of the garden, that is the Bible. Him being a man, his number is 6, here in the 66 books of the Bible, makes him not Jesus, as to the man part. It makes Satan standing in his temple, 666, and that's why this is seventh that comes, which has to do with the birth of the man child. And a lot of things we can go into about that. This is why Jesus' death was shown by the sixth seal. You go back and look at the sixth seal, you see it's Calvary, you see Satan coming, the sin made side of Jesus being manifested. So all these things and more, it just goes on and on and on. The mind of God is so beautiful, it never ends. It's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. And I'm sure, like I said, you've never heard this before, but that's what the key to the bottomless pit was. The key was the key of knowledge. With knowledge was back to a mind. It was the mind of the devil that stood there in the body of Jesus, showing itself as God, giving freedom to the flesh, giving freedom to Satan to enter the flesh, which is the blood world, the blood life. Satan and his seed can live off of the blood for a time. It was dispensational grace through dispensational blood that came at Calvary, and that blood and that life, that grace is now coming to an end for Satan and his seed. Not to the elect, but to Satan and his seed. So I hope these few things help you. We'll talk more about these as we go along. I still want to go back and do some studying in the book of Revelations. I'm considering going back to Revelation chapter 1 and start doing a revelational series. Just take it chapter by chapter and see what the Lord says to us in each one and see what he reveals about it. And let him have his way. But the 7 thunders are sounding, folks, and as each time we make a sermon, either by typing it or by making it audio or video, it goes on to the wind, so to speak, and as it does, the entire earth and creation is affected, and you're going to see it more and more as each thunder comes forth, each measure of light comes forth, each new revelation comes forth. It's going to go forth, and it's going to start changing the face of the entire world. You wait and see. The natural world is going to be greatly affected, and when it does, it's going to start affecting the world of man, the economy of man, the livelihood of man, the nations, the societies. They're all going to start being affected by it, because it shows and denotes the natural tribulation coming in. So may these words bless you. We love you. And we'll be talking to you again soon. If you've been listening to these sermons, we appreciate it. If you hadn't, you really need to go back, because time is of the essence. And the great day is here. The wedding supper has begun. We love you. God bless you. And we'll talk to you again soon.